we continue our exploration of Russ Roberts' book, Wild Problems. In this section, we confront the critical challenge of wild problems. How do you choose when you don't know what you'll like? Before delving into Roberts' solution, let's introduce a theory from ecology that we can draw inspiration from, called the R/K selection theory. This theory discusses how organisms balance the quantity and quality of offspring. Some organisms pursue quantity of offspring, known as the R strategy, where R stands for the rate of increase. These organisms reproduce in large numbers, laying hundreds or thousands of eggs, but provide minimal care for them. Fish, seahorses, and especially plants like dandelions adopt the R strategy. R strategy organisms generally inhabit large environments with abundant resources, minimizing competition. Consequently, they tend to be small in size, have shorter lifespans, lack combat abilities, and don't thrive significantly. However, due to their sheer numbers, they can adapt to changing environments, ensuring survival even in adverse conditions. In contrast, the K strategy prioritizes the quality of offspring over quantity. K comes from the German word
Kapazitätsgrenze,
meaning the capacity limit of the local environment. K strategy organisms inhabit limited environments with finite resources, necessitating vigorous competition. Animals like elephants, gorillas, tigers, and eagles follow the K strategy, meticulously nurturing their offspring, allowing them to mature slowly. Their offspring, once matured, possess larger sizes, greater strength, and longer lifespans. K strategy organisms exhibit a sense of control over their environment, foreseeing a stable future for their offspring. Therefore, they are willing to make long-term investments. It's evident that the K strategy is the path to prosperity. It's worth noting that, when I mentioned selection strategy, it's not about individual organisms making judgments. It's about evolutionary processes, natural selection. In simple terms, both the R strategy and K strategy are rational adaptations to the environment. If the environment is vast, but volatile, characterized by uncertain and transient conditions, the R strategy is employed. Conversely, if the environment is stable, but resource-limited, warranting investment in competitiveness, the K strategy is favored. The R/K selection theory doesn't explain all organisms. For instance, large trees and sea turtles are characterized by large sizes, long lifespans, and few natural predators, yet they produce numerous offspring, without providing much care. So, are they R strategists or K strategists? Hence, this theory has been largely replaced by the more detailed life history theory in biological discourse. However, the R/K selection theory is still captivating and inspiring for the social sciences. For example, sociologist Mr. Zhao Dingxin, in the preface of a book, made an analogy, stating that companies also have R strategies and K strategies. During the early stages of reform and opening up, there were many business opportunities in China, but the legal system was inadequate. You could easily make some money in business, but scaling up was challenging. The unstable environment meant your company could be shut down by the government before it grew significantly. In such circumstances, companies generally adopted R strategies, making money when possible, without pursuing long-term development. Later, as China's legal system improved, and commercial predictability increased, many companies transitioned to K strategies, seeking long-term growth. I see this transition, from R strategy to K strategy, as perfectly aligned with Roberts' advice. Roberts proposes two fundamental approaches to solving wild problems, corresponding to R strategy and K strategy. Firstly, let's consider the R strategy. When faced with many options, and unsure about each one, it's best to experiment and experience them firsthand. For example, we previously discussed the strategy of NFL's New England Patriots head coach, Bill Belichick. He's a legendary coach with unique philosophies. Roberts introduces one of Belichick's strategies. In the NFL, like the NBA, there's an annual draft. Fans know it's divided into several rounds, and having the first-round draft pick is highly valuable, with each team having only one. What's interesting is that Belichick would trade his first-round pick with other teams for multiple third or fourth round picks. It's somewhat astonishing. Everyone knows the importance of star players. The value of one star player can outweigh many ordinary players. But Belichick believes that whether a player becomes a star isn't evident from the draft. He prefers to acquire multiple later round picks to bring in as many rookies as possible to his training camp, where they can truly integrate into the team and be observed closely. Belichick evaluates players up close for their speed, agility, strength, and intelligence, but more importantly, he assesses how well they fit into the Patriots' tactical system and their personality. These aspects aren't discernible from draft profiles. You have to bring them into the team first for observation. Those who perform exceptionally well are retained, while those who don't meet expectations are released. In situations of uncertain quality, Belichick pursues quantity. He employs the R strategy. The key is to increase your options. When we discussed option thinking earlier, we mentioned the greatest advantage of having options. It's your right, not your obligation. Belichick has the right to keep any rookie, but he's not obligated to give any of them long-term contracts. Such opportunities are always welcome. Some online shopping websites now offer services to expand options for customers. One notable business case is Zappos, founded by Tony Hsieh, which implements a comprehensive, free return policy, encouraging customers to buy multiple pairs of shoes at once, try them all at home, and keep what they like, while returning the rest. This may become a more mainstream way of buying shoes. Similarly, in venture capital, investors don't truly believe that any company will become a unicorn. If 1 out of 10 companies you invest in becomes a unicorn, you're incredibly lucky. Yet, to catch a unicorn, you must invest in many. Whenever someone asks me if I'm bullish on a new company's new technology, I never am. I've never encountered a company that I immediately thought was exceptionally impressive. I see flaws in all of them. But my advice isn't to avoid investing. I always say, if you have plenty of money, invest. If you plan to invest in 100 companies, this company might deserve a spot on your list. The essence of this approach is to start boldly, abandon mercilessly. That's the treasure hunter mentality. Try several options, and you'll figure out which one suits you best. Don't fear making mistakes. Sunk costs are not failures, just the necessary cost of trying. The R strategy requires us not to commit too easily. Before officially signing with a company, it's best to have an internship to understand the process, just as it's wise to date before getting married. People who make commitments too easily often fail to keep their promises. Those who refrain from making hasty commitments are the ones worth trusting. But you still have to commit. You have to sign a long-term contract with a player, just as you have to get married to someone. People in civilized societies aren't likely to adopt an R strategy towards their children. Once children are born, can you refrain from raising them? Therefore, we also need the K strategy. The K strategy is about meticulously nurturing a project, a business, a journey, and even a lifetime. When you've identified something, you're not satisfied with just scratching the surface. You want to personally nurture it into something significant and prosperous. Roberts offers an analogy. Imagine you're traveling to Rome. You can read many travel guides and book tickets to attractions, but don't be too rigid. Because until you're in Rome, you don't know what you'll like about it. Perhaps when you're there, you'll want to spend more time in places you find particularly enjoyable. You have to adjust your plans based on what you learn in Rome. Taking this attitude a step further, it's like imagining a project as having its own life. You must respect its inherent development patterns. For example, writers often say that the characters in their works have their own personalities, wills, and destinies. The author cannot change their fate. Similarly, poets say that a poem has its own thoughts and voice, and the poet merely excavates it. The most obvious example is children. Children will never grow up exactly how you ideally envision. Perhaps you hope they'll study math, but they refuse to. You have limited control over what they do. But you're not entirely without control or intervention. You still have some maneuvering space, perhaps to influence, rather than dictate. the direction of things, but you must remain open-minded and adaptable. Roberts claims that his proudest achievements often resulted from unplanned ventures, choices he didn't think aligned with his identity. For instance, he never imagined himself hosting a podcast. He didn't believe he was suited for audio programs. But someone persuaded him to try it, and to his surprise, it worked well. Roberts advises us to view our lives as a work in progress, perhaps even as a piece of art, with curiosity and exploration, observing how it unfolds next. In life, we must learn to say no to some things. Otherwise, we'll be bogged down by trivial matters, unable to accomplish anything. However, you can't say no to everything irrelevant, or you'll miss out on many good things. You need a plan, but it shouldn't be too rigid. To tackle wild problems, be bold in experimentation, while retaining the option to end ruthlessly. But eventually, you must make a choice. Not a one-time, fixed decision, but a commitment to continue exploring and finding the best path for growth. The direction of exploration should always aim for prosperity. This means that we're not always asking ourselves whether we like something. Instead, we seek meaning, purpose, and love. These greater things. The R strategy is opportunistic, while the K strategy aims for stability and control. Transitioning from the R strategy to the K strategy signifies maturity. But you can't be too mature. You must maintain openness and adaptability. There are no secrets here, but it's not just a cliché either. Strategic vision helps us clarify problems, and then, as the saying goes, once you've clarified the problem, you're halfway to solving it. Even though this book is finished, I wish you live long and prosper.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.